Hello everyone and welcome. I'm VelvettB and thanks for joining me today for the Peachy Keen speed build. So if you don't know me, I am a YouTuber and a streamer. I love The Sims 4. I love a variety of games and I love building in The Sims 4. So today we are building a shell challenge and we're going to be doing it in the color orange. Well, that's going to be the main color for our build anyway. So this shell challenge was hosted by MZ Leaf TTV, or otherwise known as Leaf, and they are a wonderful streamer. And they set this beautiful shell challenge here that did require the usual shell challenge rules, plus you had to basically build it, and it had to be really obvious what color it was going to be. So because we drew the color orange in the wheel, we have done a wheel draw because I couldn't decide on a color. Then I've got to try and make it obvious that this house is orange. So let's see how I get on with that. I hopefully met the challenge okay. So for me, Sims is such a lovely place for me to build, and just like it's a mental health thing when I'm building The Sims 4. It soothes me and it relaxes me and it just makes me kind of forget about some of those tough life things going on. So, I love building in The Sims. It's not only is it fun, I just love the creativity of it and just the soothingness of it. As you can see here, I'm just putting the roof on. So the roof that I've chosen is actually one of the new swatches that came with the Life and Death pack. I adore the Life and Death pack. We are actually building in Ravenwood as well. So this is on the little, I think it's a 30 by 20 lot in Ravenwood, I think. And yeah, just using that beautiful mottled roof swatch with all the sort of like the peachy kind of tones through it, because I've decided to go with shades of orange in this build. I'm not just going bright orange. I'm actually going sort of like peach tones and that sort of thing, and then tying in the build with those sort of peach tones. And it's still orange, it comes up as orange under the search bar in The Sims, so I'm running with it. Also using the little roof decorations that we got with Life and Death as well. So they just add like a little element of decoration to the outside. I think they're really pretty. I love them. And ever since Life and Death came out, I've been using them a lot because I think they're absolutely gorgeous and great on roofs. So as you can see, I'm just kind of working on the chimney at the moment. So just deciding on which little chimney I'm going to put in place there. I don't like chimneys in The Sims 4. I wish they were more sort of coordinated with some of the stones and, bits and pieces that we have in the game. Yeah, they can be challenging, the old chimneys. Anyway, it is what it is. So I am really excited about putting through this build. It's been a while since I've done just like a little single level build. I don't do a lot of single level builds these days. I think because from a roadside or from a front of house kind of perspective, like when you're sort of, what is it, street view, that's the word I'm looking for. From a street view perspective, what I look for in builds when I'm thinking about builds is just, that street appeal and just how they're going to look, when you're taking your photos or when you're building it, and just, how pretty it is from the street when your Sims are moving in. And yeah, it's a lot easier, I think, to get a really pretty street view with multiple level homes, particularly 2-level, because they're a lot easier to play in. But yeah, but single level homes, I just don't do as often anymore. So it was actually really cool to do a single level home and just trying to make it look appealing, have that curb appeal as such, and also to meet the challenge. So obviously we need to make it look an orange. The other thing about this build is that I decided that I didn't want this to be modern. So you'll see me putting these modern windows in here with the big glass panes, and I was just like, you know what? That is absolutely the wrong vibe for this house. I think that with the roofing and the trim and the color, that a traditional vibe kind of home would suit this home a lot better. So that's what I decided as I was putting those windows in. We are going to be going a more traditional styling of the home. So that means, not having the big glass panes and it's not really doing so much with the grasses and the rocks when it comes to the landscaping. It's more about the flowers and making it, you know, super pretty. Maybe having some more decorative items in the build as well. So thinking about the windows that I've used there, which are from the Romantic Garden Stuff Pack, I believe, you know, they've got quite a lot of a decorative element to them. And I feel like that kind of matched with the roof because it's quite decorative and, you know, like it's got the trims and it's got like all the decoration on it. So I felt like going more traditional really suited the exterior I already had in the house. And that's what I leaned into. So I'm trying not to go super modern on it. Even though it is really my sweet spot when it comes to building is going with a modern build. I love building modern, but you know, I do try to expand my repertoire and try all sorts of different kinds of builds. So, and you can probably see that if you are someone that has watched the channel before, you'll see that I do have a whole lot of different builds out there and that I have tried a whole lot of different things. And yeah, I do love it. But I as soon as I'm building a modern home, I'm just like, yeah, happy place. I mean, building is a happy place no matter what for me in The Sims 4, but building a modern home is just like super happy place. But I absolutely had a blast with this build. What I didn't realize, and this is as I was doing the floor plan, I realized just how small the shell was. I was like, oh, this shell is so small. How am I going to fit everything in here? But you know what? I managed okay. It was all right in the end. It actually ends up being a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom home. So this little small shell that I was just like, oh, I'm not going to be able to fit everything in. I fit 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms in there. So really, was it that small? I mean, it's not a tiny home or anything like that, I don't think. So really, I had the space. I had the space. It's just, you know, sometimes when you are building your own thing versus when you're building a shell challenge, where the shell is already in place and you don't have the choice, it's just like, you know, you just find the thing to complain about. And really, it was not bad at all. So I'm just using the Growing Together stone on the exterior of the chimney because the chimney that I chose was from Growing Together. So I just wanted to have that matching kind of stone versus the chimney. So on the landscaping in the yard, so that is what we're working on at the moment, I decided that I wanted to put a pool in there, have like a lovely little deck area. Because I had all the platforms and bits and pieces in place, I decided not to actually put the house up on a foundation. So the house is not on a foundation, which I would normally do. Like, I don't often do the houses flat on the ground. Again, it just, I don't know, it's just one of those things where you just add a foundation and it's just a decorative kind of thing. And, you know, that means you can sort of add the stairs and bits and pieces. But I ended up adding the stairs anyway, because obviously I've got my little platform stairs up the front. So it worked out quite nicely. Like, I had the stairs going up and then I've got the stairs going down into the interior. And I just didn't have a foundation with this one, which is cool. I did try and fit a tree house in here. It's like, no, that's not going to fit. I've forgotten about tree houses. I loved them when they first came out with Growing Together, but since then I've sort of forgotten about them. Because we've had so many packs in such a short time frame that, you know, you forget about some of the items sometimes. But I'm just working on the pool area. I kind of wanted to have a combo pool area, hot tub area. So that's what I'm kind of working on at the moment. I also find, like, whenever I do the pools right next to the fences, there's quite often the problem of the pool trim poking through the fences. So I'm thinking in hindsight that I could have actually still just chosen the pool trim that I wanted, had it poke through the fence and didn't just cover it with bushes. But I didn't think of that at the time, as you do. I mean, hindsight's a wonderful thing. So I'm just trying to do more traditional sort of style furnishings on the exterior as well. So we've got our cute little swing and we've got our play area for the kids. Because as I said, this is going to be a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom home. So it's actually going to have a kids' room in it. So I did want to accommodate for a kid in the backyard and just, you know, obviously give them something to do in the backyard. So I'm just trying to create a little barbecue area with a couple of counters. I think these are the snowy escape counters, I think, off the top of my head, because they've got the little shells underneath, and that's the snowy escape ones. So just adding some little bits of barbecue clutter there, just to add, you know, a little bit of realism to the build and make it feel like it's actually a used area. And I didn't go with a big modern barbecue. Instead, I just went with the cute little traditional barbecue there that we get with base game. Again, just because I'm going for that traditional vibe, and also because it was orange, because we are going for an orange home in this one. So did all the clutter under there, so lots of clutter there, and then I'm going to create like a little seating area in the pool kind of stuff with like the floaters on and that sort of thing. And of course, I'm going to go to the Riviera Retreat kit because I love that kit. If you're doing anything outside and there's like a pool area particularly, I'm just always going to go with that kit because it is just so good. I love it. And I think it kind of just sits on the edge of between modern and traditional, just with the styling of it. So I feel like you can actually get away with it in quite a lot of different styles of home because just of the way it is styled. So I think it really does kind of work. So I'm just kind of doing the I guess finishing stages of the landscaping area. Oh no, I've still got a corner to go, and the trees. So again, going with the orange aesthetic, we are sitting in Ravenwood, which is the world that we got with Life and Death. So I'm using the debug trees that we got with Life and Death at the moment. And you know what? Please don't judge me for going to debug, but the thing is with landscaping, all of the good items are in debug because the Sims, for some reason, just don't include a lot of landscaping items with packs. So you're kind of really forced to go with debug if you're going to do any sort of landscaping. It is what it is. It's just the way of how the Sims has just decided to do things. And you get all of these wonderful landscaping items with every pack. Well, particularly expansion packs. And, you know, they just don't come up. And I imagine there's a lot of players out there who don't really know about the cheats and about debug. And, you know, they just miss out on all of this wonderful stuff because, you know, I don't get it because it's already in the game. So why not just include it as part of the pack? I'm sure there's a whole policy or, you know, asset thing behind it all. But it just, as a player, it doesn't make sense to me why these things have to be in debug. Why can't they just include it as part of the game? They've made them anyway. Just make it accessible for everyone who, you know, who plays the game. Why not? So I thought a good color to balance out the orange of the build would be a grey. So you can sort of see that coming through on the finishings that I've chosen on the outside. I actually go a bit of I bring the grey in on the inside as well, but I also add in a third color, which was unexpected on the interior, but ended up looking really cool. So I think the grey was an easy decision because of the roof. I mean, you've got all this grey coming through the roof and it just kind of makes sense. And I feel like it's actually looking really good with all of the orange trees. And then you've got the Peachy style house. I feel like you are getting the orange vibe with that. So I was really happy with how that was kind of coming together. So I'm just creating like a little garden area here. So doing the little plots as well as the wall gardening, and I added little Peachy in because Peachy had like this orangey peachy kind of swatch to him, and I was like, cool, I'm going to add in Peachy, and Peachy can maybe help with the gardening. And I'm just adding a little bit of greenery on the walls as well because I thought, you know, just adds a little bit of life to the build. And the thing with the greenery is that when you're thinking about adding that, what it's doing is it's giving a sense of the house being there for some time. So I feel like, you know, when you're adding like the things like ivory and stuff, ivy to the walls, that's that whole idea of permanence and that this house has been there for some time. So, you know, think about that if you are building a more traditional style home, think about whether or not ivy would be appropriate on the exterior of your build because, yeah, it does add that illusion or that suggestion of a build that has been there for a while. So I think that's cool. But I mean, I think you can get away with those on modern homes as well. It just looks, I think the trellis like I'm using there, does also work really well on a modern home, just to look like it's a garden effect more than it is like a, you know, the house has been there for a long time. Whereas I think the wild ivy does give it a feeling of, you know, being there for a long time. So I'm just doing the terrain paint at the moment, just adding a little bit of dimension to the build and making it look a little bit more realistic. That's the whole idea behind terrain paint, really, isn't it? Oh yeah, and I was just adding a little bit of a pathway as well. So it wasn't just gonna all be dirt. I just wanted to add like a little pathway there, like, you know, it's like one of those little pebble pathways going through. So I think we are now moving to the interior. So I'm just fixing up that interior doorway. I decided that I didn't want to have a giant like stair thing coming in there because I just didn't have the space for it. That was really the bottom line of it all, is just like simply did not have the space. So I created a platform stairway door thing going in there, and you know what? That's cute and I like it. So as I said, like the contrast color that I brought into this build was grey. So we have the orange there. So it's kind of like, again, it's like shades of orange. So we've got the peach on the outside, and then on the interior, I've gone with like a little bit more of a coral in the kitchen. Now this kitchen did go through a few permutations, like a few different colors, as I tried to work out the balance of the room, because this was not an easy color to balance and get the balance right with, but I got there in the end. But I did end up going with this coral color. So this is from the Dream Home Decorator pack, that particular counter with the grey on top, because I thought that was actually quite a good mix and selection for the house that we were building, because grey was our contrast color, and I thought, you know, a nice bright counter in the kitchen would be cool. So I think that worked really nicely. It was just finding the right things to go with that on the interior. Yeah, that was the tricky part. And then finding a wallpaper that was going to work with that as well. Again, tricky. But we got there in the end, and I think it ended up looking really good. So I was happy with that. So what I'm doing at the moment is just adding in a whole lot of clutter, because it's, you know what, it's actually a decent sized kitchen. At the end of the day, like, it's not the biggest house, but this ended up being a pretty decent sized kitchen. We've got a few, you know, a few counters and that sort of thing. It kind of goes around a corner. So I thought, you know what, we can actually fit in quite a lot of clutter in here. So this is me just working out shelving at the moment. So I'm using the Jungle Adventure shelving and adding stuff on there. Now you'll be wondering what I'm doing with those plates. So what I'm doing is I'm actually filling the shelving slots. So you know how when you're putting items on shelves in The Sims 4, and sometimes it just like automatically kind of drags items to that spot. So a little trick is, if you fill that spot with something already, it's not going to do that whole drag your item towards that slot thing. So it's actually a lot easier to place items, and you're not going to get that auto slotting thing going on. So yeah, if you fill the slots, then it does make it easy, and you just delete them, delete all those items again, blah, 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 blah. And, you know, Bob's your uncle. You've got your stuff on the shelves, easy peasy as that. Just drag them over from a cube, and we've got all this beautiful clutter items there without having to deal with a whole lot of snapping. So there's a little trick for you. If you're having snapping issues, just fill the slot with something and just delete it after you've placed your items, and you're happy days. So yeah, nice lot of kitchen clutter there. I was actually really happy with how that came out. And this is me just remembering the outside bin, because Velvet's very bad at remembering the bins and ceilings and the litter boxes. Always forget them. Absolutely shocking for it. Anyway, we're going to get there in the end. So in our little solarium area, this is me just working on the wallpaper. So I'm using this wallpaper from Parenthood, I believe it is. Really lovely wallpaper. This is me just trying different colors. Like, should we do like an orangey wallpaper and maybe go plain on the counters? And I was kind of like, I don't know. I kind of sat on it for a minute and then added in the dining area, and I was like, you know, with the coral chairs. So that dining set is actually from the Cozy Kitch kit. And I loved that coral seating with the grey table, and I was like, you know what, that actually works really nicely with the counters. Let's go back to what we were and just change it all back, as you do. Sometimes just finding the balance of colour does require you just to, you know, try a few things and try a few combinations just to see how that balance is going to come together. So in this little solarium area, I did want to add some greenery. So I'm just adding the little trellises that come with, which pack is that? Get Together, I think. And adding in the lighting that comes with Parenthood. It's just like such pretty lighting. You know, just to create like a little romantic effect in that little solarium area, just to make, you know, dining a special moment. Make it really pretty. So I'm just adding a little touch more orange. I do end up changing that rug underneath the table, and you'll see when I do it, and it just really changes the whole color of the build and how that sort of all comes together. And the reason that I come up with that color is actually from the kitchen wall swatch. And it just added this just whole other element to the build, and that ended up changing my little lounge area into something like really different. And I really loved how that sort of evolved. It was quite orangey as it was, and it was niggling at me. It wasn't quite right, it wasn't quite balanced, and it wasn't quite working with the kitchen. I was just like, this isn't right. And then I was just like, the blue. Ding! So change the color of the table, change the color of the mat, and as soon as that hit that blue, I was just like, what? Okay, that's working. So it's just that moment in the build where you are struggling just to get that balance that you need, and then you just hit on that one swatch and it just turns the whole build around, and you just get that moment, and then you're just like, right, and then you're off. You know, you just know the color palette that you're working with, you know how to bring it all together and balance it. So again, I'm going heavy on the Cozy Kitsch kit in this build. It's quite a retro kind of style, which I thought worked nicely with the house. Also, that color swatch, it's like that peachy color swatch, peachy keen, you know. That's the color that we're going for, sort of orange and peaches and all those sort of shades of orange. So yeah, that worked perfectly with the house. This is me discovering that this fireplace is actually just a decorative fireplace and is not a working fireplace. I will discover that very shortly, because I was like, hang on, why are these books in the fireplace? Why can you put things in there? And I was like, you know what? I actually want a working fireplace in here. I don't want a decorative fireplace. As cool it is, I genuinely, like, I've used this fireplace before in other builds, and I was like, I genuinely didn't realize it was not a working fireplace. I thought it was. So this is me discovering that it is not, in fact, a working fireplace. But that one is, and I wanted to have that working fireplace in place for, you know, for the warmth and for the coziness of it all, and also because we put a chimney in it. You know, gotta have all those things. And look, the blue wall, doesn't that work so perfectly with that rug and then with the kitchen as well? I feel like it just, like, that blue, that pop of blue just really tied this room together and made this room work. And sometimes when you are building, you just need that one thing just to bring it all together, and that was the case there. I love that decor to the Max mirror as well. I use that all the time. It's one of my very favorite mirrors. I think it's gorgeous. It's a great little space filler for above couches, for above beds, things like that, just to add like a really classy element to a room. And then, of course, in the lounge, we do have the problem of bringing together the last of the rugs, because I'm a rug lover. I love, that probably came out wrong. I love rugs and houses. I'm a rug lover. Oh, I'm sure that's going to come out like, you know, like a rug of, you know, rugged manly chest hair or something. I was like, no, maybe that's not what I meant to say. Whoopsies. So yeah, I used the Dream Home Decorator rugs, and because they had tonally the same sort of shades in through them, that worked so nicely. Now I'm moving on to the first of the en-suites into the master bedroom. So this is going to be the master bedroom, and it's only a 2x2 bathroom, but because of the showers that we get with Love Struck, Snowy Escape, and one other pack, you know, your little Invisi showers, they work really well to, you know, to allow you to have a smaller bathroom but have it, like, you know, fully functioning. So just got a nice small bathroom, but I think it's working a treat. I love how that living room came out, just all the colors and stuff. Yeah, it worked. Anyway, I'm just working on what I want to do with the wallpaper. What color do I want to go with? I ended up going with this bright orange swatch from the Riviera Retreat kit again. Love that wallpaper, and I love the flooring that we got with that kit. That kit was just, oh, so good. And then this is the second bathroom. So this is going to be the ensuite from the kids' room here. And it's a 2x3 bathroom. So you've got a little bit more space there for a full shower rather than just the Invisi shower. But it's not like a baby kind of house. It's more a kid kind of house, you know. It's not like a toddler room or anything like that. So I did put a shower in opposed to a bath. I think you could actually fit a bath in there if you needed to do that, but I didn't need to do that, so I didn't. And then I had the fun of trying to work out what colors I was going to do in this bedroom. So I was originally going to do like blue, and then I was like, found this flowery swatch with the orange through it, and then I was like, sold. So this is Decor to the Max again, the flowery wallpaper that came with the Decor to the Max kit. And then it was just like working out which bed I wanted to do. I saw the Love Struck bed and I was kind of like, oh, that's kind of perfect, but it's a little bit more modern looking than I wanted. But then I couldn't find another bed that worked with the swatch. And I was just like, oh, stuff it. We're just going to have what we're going to have. I mean, it's not super modern, just kind of modern. I'm doing the best I can, you know. It's orange. Got to make it work the way that I you know, the best that I can with it. So I was initially going to do kind of like different wall colors. So kind of have it half with the flowers, half with the plain. But when I got to decorating the other side of the wall, I realized that it just was like way too much plain, and I just did the whole thing with the flowers because it was too much plainness. And I was going to need to find a whole lot of orange things or something to go on that wall. And I was like, oh, it's not a big space. And I had, you know, by the time you've kind of got to put stuff on the, you know, got the end of the bed and then you've got something on the other side on the wall, you've got to really think about whether or not that's going to be navigable for the Sims to be able to get through there. And I actually think when I play tested this, I did end up needing to put the bed in through the wall a smidge just because there wasn't actually enough navigable space between the end of the bed and the cabinets on the wall for the Sim to get through to the other side of the bed and through to the bathroom. So yeah, you've really got to consider whether or not things, I guess, are going to work for the Sim to be able to get through, because they need a certain amount of space to be able to walk through, and you know, sometimes they can be a little bit fussy about things. So now we are moving on to the second of the two bedrooms, and this is going to be, as I said, a kid's bedroom. This could also be a teenager's bedroom if you wanted to go down that route, but because I'd put some kids stuff into the backyard and, like, you know, little kids bike and bits and pieces, I had a kid in my head, so that's what I built for, I guess, at the end of the day. And I just balanced the orange out, so it's kind of bright wallpaper, and that's just from the Discover University pack, I believe. I balanced that out with having the blue furnishings and the grey floor, so I think that worked quite nicely. And obviously you want to think about the fact that the kids got to study and do some work at school and, you know, that sort of thing. So put in a little study desk so they can do that. And they're not going to be so much into the toiletries, so I didn't bother putting like a whole lot of toiletries on the dresser, because I was like, well, the kids at that age really care about toiletries so much. I mean, there might be a couple of things of theirs in the bathroom, which is what my kids have, but they don't have toiletries in their room because they don't care. They're not worried about that. That's not what they're concerned about at that age, you know. They're more concerned about, you know, hanging, you know, maybe doing fun things with their friends or having the coolest toys or, you know, that sort of thing. So just decorating the walls with a few posters. I felt like, you know, a little bit of science, bit of school stuff, bit of cool stuff, all that sort of thing would work there. I found that rug and I was like contemplating whether or not I like that rug, but I ended up sticking with the plain blue rug. I thought that was that just looked nicer at the end of the day, so I ended up sticking with that over the decorative rug. Yeah, that's me yeeting it out the door there. And then just the finishing touches on the rest of the living room. So I realized I forgot to paint the rest of the room. I did like the big blue feature wall in the lounge and then forgot to paint the rest of the room. Anyway, just needed a couple of things over on this wall just to fill it up because it looked a little blank. So ended up just saying, you know, bookcases. So it's just a skill building thing because you want to make it playable for the Sims as well, so that, you know, they can actually do things in the house. So we've got, you know, gardening, we've got books, we've got a desk. So, you know, a few different little skill building items in here. Now I did put a plant in the corner there where I put the thermostat, and turned out the Sims couldn't get in the house. So that ended up getting yeeted when I play tested. So that went out the door. It looked really nice there in that corner. It just added that pop of color in that corner. But yeah, the Sims just would not walk in the house. There was not enough room for them to do that. So I was like, I liked that there, but no. Sometimes you just have to make the build functional over pretty, and that was one of those choices I had to make. But I think that's about our build. I will leave you guys to enjoy the screenshots in peace. I want to say thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to hit like, click subscribe, and comment below as well. Thank you, and you have a good day. Bye-bye.